motherfuckers hating, Lou. They hating.
Yo, episode 5, Runners Rant. We got a special episode for you guys today. We got a good guest. He's about to lay the smacking down on me. We got Josh, Stay Hydrated, Kelsey, and the best runner out there, Dave. How you doing, Dave?
Not true. I'm going to fact check that one right now.
He's a little bit of a big deal.
Yeah. Dave, how you doing, Dave?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
All right.
Thank you for coming on short notice also.
So happy to be here.
Yep.
For having the cojones to come on, too.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of people say they're going to come on and then
They back out.
They leave me on scene.
Right.
You got me on a good day.
Yeah.
I was in a vulnerable spot yesterday. You texted me, and I was like, all right, yeah.
I got nothing better to do, right? So, Dave, definitely, we know each other from 5K that we did
Yep.
a couple years ago.
East New York.
Definitely have a great East River 5000.
Yep.
It's a great program.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Track club, right?
It's a race organization. I mean, we basically organize races.
Right.
But we also, I use the Instagram as a platform for sharing bits of running history, running aesthetics.
Yeah,
I'm really keen on
dope running
vintage, like old running styles, back before it was over commercialized.
Right.
But then we also we have track meets, we have relays in the city, like unsanctioned relays.
Yeah, I was snooping on your page today. You got some nice photos up there.
Yeah,
it's definitely a dope Instagram page.
Yeah, it's also like a platform for designers and artists too. Like I like to show off local people within the running community, show off their work.
Right.
So like this, for example, I gotta do a little.
Yeah, I never got
wrapping.
one of those shirts. I remember those, and I never got one.
Yeah. So this is one of our meets that we did in 2021 in East New York.
Right.
In Linden Park. And the designer was Sebastian Spear from Bed-Stuy Flyers. So reached out to a community. I actually reached out to Tara and said, I wonder if you know anybody within your community who would be interested. And she recommended Sebastian. Phenomenal designer. He's worked for Airbnb. He's worked for Nike. He's done a lot of like really high profile design work. And he came up with this amazing design for us. And so that's kind of like the whole point.
No, it's simple, but it's nice.
Yeah,
I remember you invited us to that run.
Yep.
And me and Jen, we had a vacation that we went on that weekend. It was my birthday weekend, I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember agreeing. I do this a lot. I'm like, yeah, go. And Jen's like, we can't go. We have something planned. I'm like, oh, man.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I do that a lot, too. I do that a lot.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's collaborate. We'll come back out to Linden Park. We'll do another meet out there.
Yeah, seriously.
Like maybe in the spring. That'd be fun.
I'm losing weight now, too. I'm not as big as I was.
Yeah.
I might have a shot.
You think we could,
Coming in 10th.
You think we could keep up with Dave?
No, absolutely not.
All right, Dave. So I saw a lot of your East River posts, and I think it's awesome to see you like post things about the old, like when running was, like the old pictures of. I think when running was the best it is, because now it's too much, like you said, commercialized and all this.
I think there's a lot of money involved with running now.
Yeah.
It kind of messes up what running is, right?
Yeah,
like
for
it's
sure.
fitness, but it's also fun.
Yep.
For me, running was like why I started running. One, because COVID, but two, because it was like a stress reliever for me, right? Like it's a great way to clear your mind, right?
Yeah. No, I remember having that conversation after that 5K.
Right.
And you were just talking about how COVID got you into running, and you just you got bit by the bug, and now you're
Yeah. We legit. I remember the first time we started running. Jen's a nurse. She when the outbreak first happened, she was one of the first people to get sick. Brought her home. We got sick, and I remember telling her, "This is psychosomatic. Like you don't have anything, right?" Like I thought it was all fake. Mm-hmm. But then I remember one night looking at her, and I'm like, "Okay, she's sick. Like her breathing's off." Then I started feeling a little weird. So I know that I used to do a little bit of kickboxing and stuff on Muay Thai. So like shadow boxing always opened up your lungs. So I remember waking her up at like 4 a.m. one time, like, we got to get up, we got to get motivated. We have to do something. Like, our breathing is getting worse. And I know they were saying, rest, and they were putting people on respirators and stuff like that. I'm like, that's not going to work. And we legit got up at 4 a.m. and started running.
Yeah.
I swear. We've been running ever since.
Amazing.
Yeah. That's really how I got into running, because I hated running. I'll be honest.
I hate it now.
The training is strenuous. If you're training for something, and again, that same year, I remember we got into the marathon, and I had met a couple runners, and I was so excited about running the marathon. I would ask people, "You running the marathon?"
Yeah.
And I had this one girl. She's also from Brooklyn Track Club. She was running Highlight. I don't know if you remember. and she said, "I'm not running." I don't remember her name, but she said, "I'm not running because I don't want the pressure."
Oh,
I
yeah.
totally understand
Yep.
that now.
Yeah.
I like running without the pressure.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
You know, I think that's what sucks about running. Knowing that you're running a marathon and knowing that you have to train. Like,
Right.
I have to get
Yeah.
to 20 miles. I have to fuel. I have to rest. I have to eat. It's
Yeah.
like, that sucks.
I think that's the next topic we're gonna talk about. It's like for New York road runners, you have to qualify for a certain time, and like if you want to be in corral A, you have to get like what 6:30 a mile, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the pressure. I think if
Totally.
you're looking for a time,
Yeah.
Right.
I think you put yourself. Oh, I want to do
Right.
sub 4, and then you just kill it. And then if you don't get it, then you're like really disappointed, and then again you keep trying. So
Yeah.
it happened to me like 6 times already.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'm trying to get sub 4, and it's like
Yeah.
I only got it once, but
It's super challenging. Yeah. So on top of the training and on top of the nutrition and on top of like all the lifestyle changes that you have to make, and then when you add on to that the pressure of a time,
Right.
and it just becomes like
doesn't make it fun no more.
yeah,
Right.
it becomes really
Right.
I don't know, you're just chasing after like this elusive goal that's always disappearing into the distance.
100%. And that's why this year I had one of the worst but the best marathons because I learned a lot. You know, just finishing is a goal. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a great achievement. And I was so worried about time, so worried about this. But when you can't make that time because of a physical injury or something like that, you kind of it puts you in a place where like, okay, I just got to finish now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I just
So you
forget
ran
the
New
goal.
York again this year.
Yeah.
We both did.
Yeah.
3 times already?
Yeah, terrible.
Three for
Yeah.
me, 4 for you?
Yeah, 4 for me. Terrible.
You've done 4 New York
Yeah.
City marathons in a row?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My first one I got 4 hours and 36 seconds, and then ever since that I went backwards.
Yeah, this was this is my 3rd year in a
Yeah.
row.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID. We didn't do it in the COVID year.
4 hours and 36 seconds. Those
Yeah.
36 seconds, do they haunt you?
Oh yeah, I was looking.
He talks about it a lot.
I was looking at
He
the
does.
thing, and I'm like, oh, I'm almost there, and I couldn't get it. I didn't have the legs.
Yeah.
And it was my first marathon ever.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, New York City Marathon, I've run 21 marathons. I don't run them
I
anymore.
was just going to ask you, have you ran a marathon?
Yeah.
gonna
I
ask
ran 21 from 2004 to 2013. I haven't run one since 2013. But I ran New York 3 times, and I'll tell you, it was the hardest marathon I've ever run,
Yeah.
bar none. Like, it was, I don't know, I think the New York City Marathon is very challenging.
You ever ran Boston?
I have.
Yeah.
And I found Boston a lot easier than New York.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people
It's
say that.
so hilly, New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, New York.
Rolling
I mean,
hills.
Yeah, and it's like I'm convinced that the pavement in New York is harder than in other cities.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know I said this on the last podcast, but New York road runners with your gel situation, it's horrible. Like the gels and cups on the floor, the debris. I mean, I know
Yeah.
it's thousands of people running, but they got to do a better job of like, trying to.
Yes.
Yeah.
They make a lot of money, so.
Yeah. Right.
Dave,
We're gonna
There
get
you
into
go,
that.
Dave.
Right.
Let's jump into
Perfect
that.
intro.
Right there.
All right, there we
We
go.
bashed them the last podcast, but I think it's better if people hear it
Yeah,
from you.
Dave knows.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
what's your thinking of New York road runners?
Yeah, so I mean, I've thought a lot about New York road runners over the years, and I'll tell you, like, I got into running when I was 23 on my 23rd birthday, and this is relevant to New York road runners. I grew up, my dad was a runner in the 80s, inherited a lot of his old T-shirts, including a bunch of really cool New York road runner singlets. So on my 23rd birthday, he gave me like a pair of running shoes and a bunch of his old shirts, and I went out and I ran a mile, and I was like, that felt great. Like
Right.
it was the best feeling. I almost felt like I had just taken the best drug
Right.
I'd ever
Yeah,
tried.
runner's high is real.
Yeah, I was just like, oh my
100%.
god, I want to do that again tomorrow. So I did it the next day, and then the next day, and then I just sort of built from there. And I always had this like road runners back then in the 90s when I started running, and in the 2000s was still like this very grassroots
Right.
organization. It really felt like a community nonprofit, still operated out of a townhouse on East 89th Street. And like back then a race was like $7. My first road runner race I think was $7, and it continued to be $7 up until like the mid 2000s. Then it went up to like $11.
Right.
And sorry, do we need to pause for a second?
No, you're
No,
good.
no,
Yeah.
You're good.
So then it went up to $11, and then it went up to $14. And I remember when it leapt to $18, I was like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is going
Yeah.
on here?
Yeah.
And that was, I don't remember the exact year, so I don't want to like say something and get it wrong, but
Right.
it was all in like the 2000s, late 2000s.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like the thing that drew me into running in the first place started to become a little bit harder to identify.
Right.
Like I didn't see it in the organization anymore.
Right.
So the going back to where it is now, I think we were talking before about there's a lot of money in running. I think people started figuring that out. I was thinking earlier about like if you look at the CEO and the top officers of New York Roadrunners, these people, it's their full-time job.
Yeah.
You know, when Michael Capareso was CEO, president, he was making over $700,000.
It's crazy.
Other officers make well over $200,000.
What does a brain surgeon make?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Teachers.
Yeah,
Forget
yeah.
that. Teachers, man. No, we even make that.
But back then, like back in the 70s, you know, when Fred Lebo was
Right.
president of New York Roadrunners, like those guys still had other jobs.
Right.
You know, Ted Corbett was he was a physical therapist.
Right.
Right. Fred Lebo worked in the garment industry.
Right.
These were people who treated running like like what it should be. It's
Right.
a community
Right.
building enterprise. It's not something to profit off of. It's something to create community.
Right.
It's something to bring people together. It's something to do something good for the. One of my favorite. This is I've yet to verify this, but one of my favorite anecdotes about running in New York City is, do you know who Bill Ayers is?
No. School me.
Are you familiar with the Weathermen?
Yes.
You know who the Weathermen
Yes.
were? So activists in the
Right,
60s and
right.
70s who were like bombing government
Right.
buildings.
Yep.
They always made sure that they were vacant before they did it.
Fight Club had like a piece of that. I don't know if you ever seen Fight Club.
Oh yeah, I don't remember them.
That's kind of what they become
Mhm.
at the end, right?
Yeah, so their whole mission was to basically like raise awareness about corruption
Right.
in government, corruption
Right.
in business.
Right.
And so they were bombing government buildings. Bill Ayers was one of the main weathermen. And again, I haven't verified this, but I have a good friend who's a historian, and he did his PhD at Columbia, and he told me that a friend of his was doing research on that period and the weathermen. And apparently Bill Ayers once said he really, after he got exonerated, like he was they caught him and he was up for trial, but then they like botched the investigation, and he ended up going free, moved to New York, was getting a PhD at Columbia, and apparently he said that he really admired New York Roadrunners because Roadrunners was reclaiming the city at a time when it was like the era of white flight. You know, there was a period where people were afraid to be in the city. It was like considered this dangerous place.
Right.
And they were like, fuck that. We're going to go into Central Park and we're going to reclaim the city. We're going to celebrate New York. And so I've always kind of looked.
Sounds like I missed an era because that would have been great for that.
100%.
Yeah, me too.
That would have been great for that era.
Like I've always thought of running and hip hop as being very much following the same
Right.
pattern,
Right.
and like on these parallel paths. They started at the same time,
Right.
Like the growth of hip hop in the 70s.
It's a dope analogy because I could totally see it.
You know, and
Yeah,
it was
for
all
sure. I
about
never thought
like
about that.
it was all about a positive, community-oriented
Right.
spirit. But then they both got corrupted by
Right.
big business,
Right.
right? And so now we're in a culture where we're paying $50 to run a 5K. We're doing like
It's crazy.
and it's gotten completely off track.
And that's what messed it up for me because, like, again, I've always been an athlete. I've always, like I said, I did kickboxing for a little while, and like whatever. So, football, baseball, I've always been an athlete. But what got me into running, like what I loved about running was the grit, right? Like, runners, for the people out there who don't know, some runners or most runners are tough son of a bitches. I
Yep.
just want to say that,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
especially long distance running or even track work. Because
Track work is brutal, man.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because 1600 can feel like a marathon if you're pushing, right?
Yeah.
So
If you're doing it right.
right. So that's what I loved about it, right? Like
Yeah.
it took grit, it took heart to keep going mile after mile, and now like it's almost cool. Again, I'm new to running, so I don't want to sound like I've been doing this 100 years because I haven't. But now it's like it's a fad. Like it's a cool thing to run a marathon. Like, hey, I run a marathon, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nothing wrong with that. But then that's when they get you when you go to the expo and now you're $1,000 in
Yep.
on top of paying for and the jackets are the same and this is the same. Everything's the same. Nothing changes. The colors just change on the
Yeah.
jackets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that kind of messes it up, right? And then you have the coaching situation to where it's like, again, I got into running because I loved it. And then I got pulled in by these different run groups, which I was naive to think, well, they just like us, come run with us,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get hit with the if you want to continue doing this, there's a fee.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I thought we were cool.
Right.
That's my money, that's my money.
Yeah.
Oh, I did like you until
Yeah.
then, right?
No, it's like a a dealer. It's like the first one's free.
right.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
one,
Like, dude, I live right by this park too. I could run
I
it.
can run for free.
Yeah.
But that's the thing also in New York Road Runners, that they also have a coaching thing.
Yeah.
So they charge also.
Oh yeah.
They also charge for you to get
Yeah.
coached by whoever the hell they have.
Yeah, and there's value in some of that, and I want to make sure that I state for the record that New York Road Runners does a lot of good things.
They do.
Yeah,
They're a
do.
good organization.
Yeah.
They're a good nonprofit. They
Yeah.
they do a lot of youth programming and
Right.
programming for the aged.
Right.
And I've even written about some of these things.
Right.
I've gone to events. My friend Sid Howard, who is an old friend from Central Park Track Club, who does a lot of great things with with people in retirement homes, people in public housing,
Right.
and he does incredible programming for
Right.
these folks, and that's all paid for by Roadrunners. So,
Right.
when you give them all this money, some of that money is definitely going to good causes.
Right.
But I also believe that there's something to be said for the mission over the money, and so I think more money should be going to the mission, and less money should be going to,
Right.
the CEO.
Right. So it started for the people, but then it ended up
It's-
being for
yeah.
the
That's
That's
pocket.
for a lot
Yeah.
of things.
I think, yeah, right. That
Yeah.
sounds like politics.
Yeah.
Sounds like everything, right?
Somebody gets in, makes tons of money, and they're like, "Oh, this is the way to retirement."
100%.
Totally, 100%.
You know, going back to what Dave was saying about running in Central Park and New York Road is trying to break that stereotype of it being thugs and tough out there. That's what it was like running for us in East New York.
Yeah.
Yeah, like running in Highland Park and all those places over there. It in the beginning, it was, again, I grew up in that neighborhood, so everybody knows me. So it became, Josh, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you're running in tights, in circles over here with a bunch of people that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Because gentrification just hit my neighborhood within the last 2 years, I want to say.
Yeah.
So when we first started running, they didn't see that, and we brought a lot of people over that were different
Yep.
to them. And it was like that. It was that kind of deal. Like we're running and people are smoking and gambling or
Loud
listening to music, rolling dice. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now you slowly start to see it change. But I guess we were kind of the first people
Yeah,
to
around
change,
our neighborhood,
especially in
for
my
sure.
neighborhood. I'm not
Yeah.
speaking for the whole Brooklyn because
Yeah.
I don't know that. But for Highland and East New York area, it was like
Yeah.
that for us. And it's
What-
still kind of weird.
Where are you? So do you live pretty close to the park?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
we live 2 blocks apart, so
Yeah.
That's
Well,
all.
like 4 or 5 blocks
I
apart.
think
But yeah,
it's- it feels like
a
2.
train stop.
It
2
feels
train
like-
stops.
It feels like 2 when I'm running.
Yeah. Yeah, I see. Sometimes when I'm not running with Lou, I'll wake up Saturday morning to go get something from the store. He's running by. I'm like, oh, what's up? You know? Yeah. But yeah, we're right
Yeah.
there. So.
No, I know that's one of my favorite running routes. I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I go out, I run out, and I do the reservoir.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
I run
yeah.
through the park and I
Yeah.
do a loop of the reservoir
Yeah.
and then I run back.
We hate that reservoir.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
20 laps around there drive you crazy.
And a hot summer day, 20 laps around there.
We should pitch our idea to Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, what do you think? I came up with a
No, hit me.
little Ironman
Yeah.
run thing, right? We got 6 hours to run,
Yep.
right? I'm not trying to win, but I'm down to participate.
Yep.
And we'll set something up in the reservoir and as many loops as you can do in 6 hours.
In 6 hours.
And we'll time it. And whoever wins gets a belt.
God, that
Like a,
sounds
like, a,
horrible.
like a WWF belt.
BMF.
I think it's a good idea. I
BMF
think it's a
belt.
good idea.
I think it sounds horrible but fun.
Right.
Yeah.
And
There
then
are
we
some
could-
there are some particularly sick people out there that would be
I'm down. I'm not going to win, but I'll do as much as I can. And what we'll do is we'll do a charity, and the money will really go to the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm down. I'm down for it. I told him I'm down.
Yeah.
We got to set this up, Dave.
I love it. I love it.
We got to
Yeah.
set
There are
this up.
some people are like 6 hours. That's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah, we
There are
just set
some
a
sick
timer
people.
and you
And I'll
run.
tell you, you can even get a permit for that reservoir loop. I've applied for one and I got one because I wanted to do a relay,
Right.
a 10K relay, and have 10 people on a team, and each runner would do a K.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Or like,
That
no,
sounds
actually,
fun, too.
6 people on a team, everybody would do a mile. So like
Right.
one loop of the
Right.
reservoir.
Yeah.
And I applied for a permit and I got one, but then scheduling, I wasn't able to hold the race. But yeah, I mean, you can.
Let's
It's
do it.
$25 to pay the park.
Oh, let's
Oh, that's nothing.
let's set it up.
Yeah.
So all you sick mother flowers out there who want to run for 6 hours straight in a circle, let's do it.
Yeah. I mean,
We'll push it.
I'm
Yeah.
down for it, man.
We'll push it.
The reservoir is. I love that reservoir.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
beautiful
I love
now
running
too.
around it.
Especially now that it's like
It's more safe now.
You got a lot of birds and stuff now.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think about the running, like the running status right now? Like, how do you think running is? Because when you look at, like, running is a sport, like, with races and things
Right,
like that.
most definitely.
But what do you think, like, it is compared to, like, other sports, like baseball, basketball, football?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing is kind of obvious, but you participate.
Yeah.
It's like you don't have to, like, if you don't, most people who watch football don't play football.
Yeah.
Right. And people who know everything about all the players, know all the games, know all the stats, they're not out there
Right.
suiting up every Sunday
Nope.
and practicing. Running, you don't have to know anything about the pros. You don't have to know anything about who just won, the
Boston,
Diamond League or
yeah.
whatever, or who won Boston, and still get out there and be part of a community and still like benefit from the sport.
Right.
So I think
people forgot that though.
Yeah.
Well, that's
because
the thing. Yeah.
because the real runners, if you don't know these things, or you're not sub 3, or you're not sub 3.5, whatever, you're not a runner. Right? You're just a participator, right?
Yep.
Like you just came, and I think that's a little messed up nowadays,
Yep.
right? Because that's a big thing,
Yeah, I mean it's toxic.
right? It is.
know?
It
Yeah.
really, really is
Yeah.
toxic.
And it gets people. It prevents people from feeling like running is for them.
I went through this, and that's why when Lou asked me in the last podcast, "What are your goals for this year?" and I said, "I just want to run without the politics.
Yeah.
I want to go back to not knowing these people that I met that make me hate running, and I mean that because they make you dislike running,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing. It's health. It's health. It's great for your health, and it's great for your mental health.
Yep.
And they kind of suck that.
Yep.
They take it from it, and take it from you, and I think that's
Yeah.
that's my biggest thing right now with running.
But
Not that all coaches. I'm sorry. Not
Yeah,
that
yeah.
all coaches are like that, because there's some
Yeah.
great ones
No,
out
there's
there.
some
but,
good ones out
but
there,
there's a
yeah.
lot of people who are, and it's fucked up.
Oh, yeah, 100. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like going back to, I think this relates to like how running has evolved and how running has changed and what we can take from the past,
Right.
And what we can
Right.
recognize and learn from what they were doing in the 70s and benefit from
Right.
that example. For instance, like running has always been a community oriented
Yeah.
thing, and so if you don't like the way coaching is done, you don't like the way Roadrunners is operating, you don't like any of that, just do a 6-hour race around the reservoir. Like create your own thing.
Right.
Create your own community. You guys founded East New York
Eastern runs, yeah.
Like amazing. That's such a cool thing to do. Like everything. The more grassroots efforts that we can manifest, the better.
Right.
Like I think one of the challenges with Roadrunners is everybody's like, and I'm happy to dish on Roadrunners, but the challenge, like they're not going to change.
No.
Yeah.
And they
There's
don't.
too much money involved.
There's
Yeah.
too much money
Right.
involved,
Politics,
and they
no.
really don't give a
We
shit.
don't.
Yeah, they
right.
don't give a
So-
shit.
Well, that's.
But who cares? Like we shouldn't really
Right.
care. Like
Right.
all we need to do is say, all right, Roadrunners, do your thing.
Right.
We're going to do our thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And that means like creating our own run clubs and our own vision,
Right.
like our own image. Like
Right.
I want to have a club that does something completely unique. I'm going to have a 6-hour race around the reservoir and little things like that. The more community oriented, genuine, like grassroots efforts that we can get going,
Right.
the more we can take it back, basically. And that's what they did. That's what the Fred Lebos and the Ted Corbetts of the world were doing. Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's the same thing I said. I said if we have a problem together, we should all boycott New York Roadrunner events.
Yeah, but it's
But
never.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah,
Same
yeah,
way
yeah,
like
yeah.
some people don't want to come on the podcast or support this podcast.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm still gonna run New York. If
Yeah,
I
me
get
too.
in again.
Yeah.
I just like the marathons. I love the energy of.
Of course, the marathon it's a very
Yeah.
special day. It's like the best holiday of the year.
But I knew this was I knew it was. Besides the fact that they was like, you had certain people tell me, "Oh, you like this, come to my event and buy my,
Yeah, right.
whatever." Never, ask me for a singlet, but the poachers,
Yeah,
right? So I in the beginning we had a big group, pretty big group. I kind of fell off with it. We whoever's around is still family kind of, and but I remember taking them to these different events and different groups, and we would run, and then next thing you know, they're like, "Yo, this guy DM'd me or pulled me to the side and was
Happened
like,
with me.
if you want
Right.
to coach, if you
Yeah.
want to train," and he was one of the first ones, and I'm like, "What the hell is that about?"
Yeah.
So now there was a picture circulating earlier of this new run group, and I won't say what coach it is, but this guy's in the picture like, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I sent it to Lou, and I'm like, Lou, already? Like,
right away,
there's no
man.
time wasted. It's
That's
like,
the
he's gonna
community.
They're gonna do the same thing. It's like, okay, yeah, we're friends. I could train you for about $400 a month. You know.
That's the culture. That's the running.
So, what do you
culture.
think about poaching? Yeah, I mean, is it a real thing?
Oh yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
But it's like,
Has it ever happened to you?
no, it's never happened to me. There was a guy who found, like, I've only been DM'd once about joining a team, and that kind of skeeved me out. I was like, this is really weird. and I didn't even know this person.
Right.
And this person had a habit of going through results and finding people who were unattached and finding their contact info and
That's
paying them.
weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
But that's
then-
a hustle.
Yeah,
That's the
freedom.
scam, though.
Yeah,
That's the hustle.
But then at the same time, like, I don't know, a good friend of mine, Herbie. Do you know Herbie Medina?
Oh, you know, is
No,
that the same
it's somebody
Medina?
else. No, it's somebody else.
Yeah.
Not Queen's Distance, right?
No,
Oh, okay.
different.
Herbie's an old time, like, he's about, like, his nickname among certain circles is the mayor of McCarran Track.
Gotcha.
Grew up in, South Williamsburg. He,
Gotcha.
back
I
when
know
it
we're
was
gonna
like,
sound like such amateurs for saying we don't know him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, Herbie is a wonderful human being, and I met Herbie back in 2009 because I had done a track workout with Urban Athletics back when that was a team. It doesn't really exist anymore. And the track work, I mean, it was a road workout in Central Park, but it was like a track workout in the park. And Herbie somehow, I don't know how he did, but he was there, and he got my number. And I was like at home like a year later, like 6 months later, I don't know, sometime after this, I get a phone call, and he's like, "Hey Dave, it's Herbie." I was like, all right. And he wanted to talk to me about joining Urban Athletics. That felt like organic and authentic,
Right.
and I didn't
Felt
mind.
real. Felt
Yeah,
real.
and he's continued to be a really good friend to
Right.
this day. But the other person I'm referring to, that was a little bit weird because I had no relationship with him.
Right.
I'd never met him before. I didn't know. I just got this message out of the blue, and I was like, I don't, like, why are
Right.
you. But I've heard other stories about people, like pulling people aside, or
I've seen it.
Yeah, I've
and-
seen it too.
And it's I think it's dirty. I think it's
It's sad.
It is.
Yeah.
But that's the scamming and running. I
Yeah.
think that's the job. That's their job to do. I guess that's
Yeah.
what they see. Like,
Yeah.
I think for you, maybe like people approach you because they want to maybe
I approached him.
get on running.
I remember seeing him like, "Yo, dude, those shades, man." And we started talking, and then Jen's like, "You guys look alike. That's you in the future."
This is the part of the podcast where you bring up the photo.
Right, we have the
Yeah,
first
we
photo.
will add
So I
that.
don't have a beard right now. I'm kind of clean, but I swear, me and this guy look alike. You guys don't understand. It's weird. It's so weird. But yeah, that was a joke for a little while. He would randomly send that
I'll just
picture,
send it on the
and I
chat.
would just start dying. And I'm like, this guy doesn't even know. Like, he doesn't even
I love
know.
it. I love it.
Yeah. Nah, Dave's cool, man.
He is.
We hit it off right
From
away.
the moment we met him.
Yeah.
But he made you more bald than you are.
Yeah, yeah, I have here.
Yeah, so I was reading a lot of stuff yesterday that you sent me
Yeah.
from Runner's World. You guys should definitely check it out. If you could speak
Oh,
a
I
little
appreciate
bit.
that.
If you could
Yeah.
speak about it a little bit. Some of the articles that you wrote.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm a journalist.
I was gonna
by-
say, what's his deal with Runner's World? Because I didn't know. He didn't.
I didn't
Yeah.
tell him.
Yeah, we don't speak. This is we straight wing this.
You talk
Yes,
here.
that's why some of the shit is outlandish that
Yeah.
comes out of our mouths.
Right.
We
Yeah.
wing this.
Yeah,
So
we
I
wing this.
didn't know. Right. I'm learning about you as we
Yeah.
go.
That's why I wanted to be on this. podcast.
Yeah,
I'll
we're
be
not acting at all.
No,
We
no,
do
this is
not
really
speak.
us.
Yeah.
I love how like 100% unscripted it is.
Yeah.
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 No, so I work as a journalist. I'm also a journalism professor at Hunter College at CUNY, and I write. These days, I'm writing a lot of like long form narrative features about athletics. I'm always interested in like where athletics and social issues intersect. So like, I've written like a few years ago, I wrote a big piece for GQ magazine about West Side runners. Are you familiar with West Side?
Yeah. I've heard of them.
Yeah. So the article kind of, I spent 6 months spending a lot of time with the guys from West Side Runners. Most of the Ethiopian runners. They do have a number of Latino runners as
Right.
well, but the Ethiopian guys, and there are a few women, but it's mostly men, live in the Bronx, And I spent a lot of time with them and with the president of their team, Bill Staub, and got to know them. And I learned that a lot of them are living in New York, basically escaping political persecution back home. They've been imprisoned, they've been tortured,
Right.
they've been, their family members have been killed. Like if they step up for human rights, they get, there's retribution for that. So I spent a lot of time with them, and I got a part of their story that nobody had really told in the way that I wanted to tell it.
Right.
Because they have gotten coverage. In 2019, one of their guys finished third in the New York City Marathon.
Oh, that's crazy.
And he
No coach.
didn't have a coach. He didn't even have elite seating. He wasn't
Possible.
He wasn't even in the pro field. He started with the civilians.
Yeah.
And they didn't even say his name until
crazy.
the last mile of the race, when it became very clear that he was going to place. Then all of a sudden, the race commentators are like, "We got to find out who this guy is," and they started talking about him. But he then went back to Ethiopia, where it took him like a year and a half to get his prize money, because of like all kinds of just bureaucratic nonsense. So he won like $60,000 that he didn't get for a year and a half.
Wow.
So I was really interested in telling their story from a different angle. For Runner's World, I do similar pieces, but mostly like profiles. My last one was a piece about a guy named Rasan Thomas, who grew up in Brownsville. He was born in 1970, and grew up in Brownsville. And
A runner from Brownsville.
well, he wasn't a runner yet.
No.
His story is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I read it. It's crazy.
Yeah, like he grew up in like rough circumstances, single mother. Started, you can read the whole story. I don't want to give it all away, but he had a rough life, and he got into running when he had to leave New York. Basically, things got a little bit too hot for him here. With he got into a lot of legal issues, and he was running from New York, and he was really good friends with a guy named Shannon Briggs. You know who Shannon Briggs is?
Yeah.
Oh, the boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two-time heavyweight champion.
Yeah.
So
Let's go, champ.
Yeah.
Let's go. Yeah, he's a thug. That guy's a real thug.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
He was homeless when he was a teenager, like sleeping in boxing gyms in East New York. And so Rasan, they were friends. They grew up together in the same building in Atlantic Towers. And so he called him up, and he was like, "I need to get out of New York." And so Shannon said, "Come stay with me. I'm going to a training camp outside of LA, in Big Bear,
Right.
in the mountains." So he goes out to Big Bear, and he starts to train with Shannon, and that's how he gets into running. But then he's in California not very long, and one thing leads to another, and he ends up getting smacked with a life sentence.
Wow.
So he went away to, he was incarcerated for 23 years.
Wow.
So he got out back in February of last year, so 2023. And I learned of him because a friend of his, who he had met when he was in San Quentin.
Is this guy in New York or?
Well, now he lives in Oakland because he's in transitional housing.
Gotcha.
But a friend of his who was a volunteer was in San Quentin back in 2017, met Rasan, started bonding over running because he got really into running. He got more into running when he was incarcerated. And they wanted to run the New York City Marathon together, so she posted on Instagram. She was looking for a couple of bibs. One thing led to another. I reached out and I was like, "I'd love to work with the two of you and work with Rasan on a profile." So that piece began, very organically, just seeing this Instagram post and being curious about him. I Googled him. I learned a lot about his work that he did. Like while he was incarcerated, he became a very prolific writer. He became a podcaster.
Changed his life inside.
Oh, so he has. I was gonna say, it sounds like we need to get him on the podcast.
Oh my
He
God.
has a
Like,
podcast.
he's absolutely brilliant, really funny. His podcast is called Ear Hustle. If you haven't listened to it, do you know
Why does
it?
that sound
No,
so familiar?
no, I
Oh,
think
it
so.
sounds so familiar
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
I'm sure it's crossed your path at some point. Ear Hustle.
It's a good name too. I like it. I used to be an ear hustler. Just a little bit, Dave.
But it was a podcast that started at San Quentin, and in 2020 it was a finalist for a Pulitzer Prize. Like,
Wow.
it's legit.
Wow.
It's really, really good.
And you wrote an article about this
Yeah.
guy?
So I wrote the article about
He
him.
sent it to me. I
Yeah.
forgot to send it
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, see?
So
Shooting off the hip here.
yeah,
Shooting off the hip.
that's the best. That's the best.
That's the
way.
best
I'm like, who's coming today? Dave. Wow. All right. Cool.
You know, the bald guy.
You're a twin.
You're a
You're a
twin.
brother.
Yeah, we literally don't talk before this.
No, I swear we don't.
We send each other videos,
Yeah.
but that article is really, it's like I was motivated by it.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, and then, so that's the whole. Like, I'm sorry to talk so long about what the story's
No,
about.
no, it's good.
But
That's what running's about. Hearing these
Yeah.
stories like that,
Yeah.
that's not spoken about as much.
yeah. I mean, so that's like that was an opportunity, that story, to not just tell Rasan's story and to like tell the story of how he got into running and how he came to run the New York City Marathon, but also get into like criminal justice issues and talk about incarceration rates and talk about like, because I believe that we're at a point where we can finally start to imagine, like there's a political and social appetite now, I think, to reimagine how society deals with incarceration.
Right.
And
Right.
so that writing that article gave me an opportunity to get
Right.
into some of that stuff.
Right. It's a hard transition, especially for someone, 23 years. I could just imagine coming out into the world again, and then
Yeah.
It's a different
everything's
world.
different.
Different world.
You went in, no
Can you
cell
imagine?
phones, no
Yeah.
anything. Now
iPads and
the whole world
Watches.
is technology.
Yeah.
Cars drive themselves.
Yeah.
People
No.
are robots. no socializing, right?
podcasts.
Yeah.
Podcast. But it doesn't determine the men, because I know people coming from where I come from who've done a long bids, and when they come out, they're more successful than a lot of people who've been out for years. And I think it's being pent up. It's like knowing what you had taken away from you, and then coming out into this world where everything is there.
Yeah.
They have this
Like a
different
drive, like a
drive,
drive,
right?
yeah.
Like a fire to say, well, it's achievable. It's
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Like I came from a place where I didn't have it at all.
Yep.
And that breeds a different man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Breeds a different person.
Yeah.
And I think that the same could be said about kids from the hood, from the ghetto or whatever you guys want to call it. But, growing up where we grew up, it was different. Now East New York is different. But when I grew up, we didn't have much, so we had to go out and get
You gotta
it.
hustle.
Yeah.
You gotta hustle for sure.
Right. And a lot of the guys that I meet on the field, in my field of construction and stuff like that, they're some of the hardest workers I've ever worked with in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that comes from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his story and the other stories that you've written, if you haven't read it, check it out in Runner's World. It's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's not spoken about, and this is the thing that I get frustrated about the running community. These things are not talked about.
No.
Yeah.
Like I've never heard about him. You've never heard
No.
about him.
No.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think it just shows the lack of knowledge. I think in the
so-
running community.
Going back to that whole idea too, I just thought of something. And that's why some of the greatest runners come out of the ghetto too,
Yeah.
right? Because it's a mental, right? It's a mentality. Like you had to have this kind of, to run miles, you kind of got to be tough.
Yeah.
Running a marathon is fucking crazy.
Right.
I would have never thought I would have done it 10 years ago.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, look, I think the real value of sport is realizing what you're capable of,
Right.
and achieving. It gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of self-esteem, and it creates a community, and it also prolongs your life. It makes you a healthy person.
Yeah.
It makes you healthier mentally,
Yeah.
physically, all of that. And right now, we're facing I think, kind of a crisis situation in how much running costs. Like you look, it's not just how much the marathon costs. Like Fred Lebo, when he was president of New York Road Runners, up until like in 1984. In 1984, the marathon. Guess how much the New York City Marathon cost in 1984? Take a wild guess.
I'm gonna say like
$20.
$12.
You're closer.
Yeah.
What is it? 10 bucks.
$10.
Wow.
$10.
That would have hit.
They did charge 20 for international.
Oh, okay.
No.
Because-
That's still
I know-
cheap.
I know
Could
that.
you imagine?
Yeah.
But that was just to cover postage to get them there.
It's crazy.
But that's nuts.
And Fred Lebo wanted to charge less in the future, not more.
And look where it's
So-
at now. It's $300 without a membership, $250 with
That's
a
not,
membership.
and what about charity?
Yeah.
Charity
That's-
is like $5,000.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Or the sneakers.
And then so then you add the sneakers,
I'm
and you
a-
add
$300 sneakers.
But you seen Kipchoge's sneakers sold out in
Yeah.
a matter of like 1 minute.
Amazing shoe though.
Yeah, I mean they're
me, at
cool.
least.
Yeah, and they and
He
they're-
said, he's like, yeah, they're cool.
They
What are
work-
you running?
I mean,
If you don't mind me asking.
what do I
'Cause
race
you don't,
in, or
you don't
what do
look
I
like
run?
What are you
I call
racing?
these marshmallow shoes because they have so much.
what are those? What are you wearing?
These are Alpha Flies.
Yeah, I mean I've had a pair of Alpha.
What are you
Flies.
racing? Because I think that's more interesting.
You're a Brooks guy.
No, I actually race in. Well, these days I'm racing in New Balance fuel cells.
Okay.
Because they're a little cheaper and
No, they're nice,
they're
though.
just as good as Vaporflies.
Yeah, they're nice though.
But I like Vaporflies.
Yep.
You know, I wish that I had never tried Vaporflies because now I'm like can't go back.
The
now.
bounce is real.
They feel good.
The bounce is real.
But I feel like shoes, that's something that you can spring for. But when you're paying like $100 for a singlet, you know, there are some companies, I
I'm
won't
guilty.
say any names,
Yeah.
I'm guilty.
Me
but
too.
it's gotten out of control.
He won't say names, but I love your singlets. I know who he's talking about.
Me too.
I love you guys. I'm such a Nike whore. Like I
Yeah.
love Nike. Yeah. I now I'm going over to Adidas with some of the stuff that Adidas got. I just bought some shoes from the Adios
those
Prime
are sick. Those are
Prime
sick.
2s.
Yeah.
Great shoe. I think it has 2 carbon plates.
Yeah, it's
a little
illegal.
ridiculous.
Like,
it's like
yeah.
springs. Only problem with them is that they're really heavy.
Yeah.
But for like a training
They're
shoe,
heavy.
yeah, they're
Right.
really heavy.
Okay.
Like I think it's like 9 ounces. Don't
Oh
quote
my
me on
God.
this.
I bought. Remember the ones I have?
Is it like 9 ounces?
I have.
Something ridiculous like
Nice,
that. Don't quote me on this,
Yeah.
but
I have a pair, same 2 carbon plate, but you can't turn on them really.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I
have the 2s to
Yeah.
those. Yeah, because these are 7. Right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
These are like a
Yeah.
7.7. I think those. If again,
Well,
I'm
those
not-
the professionals can't wear.
Yeah.
2 carbon plate.
Yeah.
They can't wear them. That's what
Right.
they said.
But that's why they came out with the what was the white pair that sold for like $1,500 on resale.
All the Adidas. The girl won with them in the
Oh,
marathon.
yeah.
Forgot the
Those
name of it.
$500 shoes.
Yeah, and then they resold for like $1,500.
Hassan, was it Hassan that wanted them? I think it was Hassan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great shoe too.
Yep.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't paying that much for them.
Yeah, but definitely check out Runner's World. I just want to clear something up before we finish up here. I am not on the Epstein list.
And these are certain people. They were certain that certain people were on there.
Yep.
You know, Trump, one of those people.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he never was on the plane.
Yeah.
I think that was like a shocker to everybody.
Right.
It was like Trump, 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 Trump. No
Well,
Trump.
everybody respects him just because government
Trump?
bullshit. Yeah. But I think I can't wait for that shit, all the names to drop, man.
Yeah.
I know I'm not on
Who
that
do you
shit.
think? Who do you think was on there?
Who I think is on it?
Yeah.
Like
Besides the Clintons,
I think Joe Biden's on that list, man.
You think so?
Yeah. But they'll never release it.
Young Joe,
Young Joe's
and
and Hunter.
I don't know. Like, do you think? I mean, was Joe Biden ever like?
No, I'm just joking. I don't
Like,
think
was he ever like?
He's just a Biden hater.
I feel like Epstein would take one look at Biden and say, "Hey, you can't do anything for me."
Yeah,
I think
he's way too much of a policy wonk.
Yeah,
Like, he's
yeah.
way too.
I think it was more money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was the money. Like if you
it
had
was
money,
people who could do things for him.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He
right.
benefited.
You know, I had this conversation too. A lot of those people on those lists, not saying that they're not. I mean that they're guilty. I don't know these people, right? Yeah. But a lot of it could have been a blackmail tactic. Like it's perfect, right? We
Yeah.
get you there, you know, put you in this room, take a couple pictures, and say, "All right, look, I
Yeah.
wasn't messing with no little girls." Well, yeah, you were. Look, you on
Yeah,
pictures.
that's
So
right.
I don't know. It's a shady game. That's just the way my mind works.
Right.
It's a shady game. You know, you never
There's a
know.
lot- I mean,
Yes, you were.
They said Michael Jackson's on that list, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Stephen Hawkins, is it? Is that the name?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah.
The midget thing.
Stephen?
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
No.
Stephen Hawkins.
Okay,
Stephen?
yeah, so I don't know if this is real because Instagram's a crazy place. But they said that Stephen Hawkins loved to see naked midgets on try to solve. This is, I swear to God.
Wait, where are you getting this?
I swear, no, it's legit. I think he loved to see naked midgets solve hard equations on a unreachable chalkboard. This is one of the things that came out. I swear. When we get off this podcast, we're gonna Google it to
Yeah,
make sure.
I'll post it if it's true.
I read this. If it's not true, it's funny.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
but
specific.
Yeah, I swear. Right? That's crazy.
I think what that situation is,
He's just crying over there.
I think with that situation, I think it's gonna be they're gonna give names, but they're not gonna give those the most important names.
Yeah.
They should.
They killed him for a reason.
Should.
They killed him
And
for
it's
a
funny how all this comes out around election time too.
Oh, of
Like
course.
it's like they save it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Well,
saved. For
they're
it.
saying the
Yeah.
COVID numbers are going up, and you got to wear a mask in the hospital.
Well, there's something going around. I'm gonna be honest, because there's a lot of guys I work with and around that are getting sick. There's something going around.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, so I
True story.
understand. Like, I think rates are even higher now than they were at the peak of
Right.
the pandemic, or
Right.
like they're close. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but I don't know.
Did you get vaccinated, Dave?
I sure did. Yeah.
Yeah?
Me too.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Did you feel weird after being vaccinated? And I want an honest opinion.
Yeah. No, my first. What was it? My first shot, I was fine. My second shot, I think it was the second shot that the second shot I was fine. It was my booster that laid me out.
Right.
My booster, I got really sick for like a
But
day.
like being a runner, excuse me, and knowing your body,
Yeah.
heart rate on average, did you feel like anything changed from after getting a shot?
No, not after the shot. I did get COVID though in 2022,
Right.
and
That was after the shot.
That was after the shot
Right.
and after the booster. Like, so
Right.
I'd been triple vaxxed, and then I got sick in 2022, and 10 days, I was pretty like it was
And prior to the vaccine, did you get it sick COVID?
no.
That's crazy.
So I only got COVID that one time, but it messed me up, and I do sometimes wonder if because my running's kind of like fallen off since then.
Right. This is what I'm at. That's what I'm asking you.
But I think it was the COVID, not the shot.
No, that's so yeah. Well, yeah, it could be that too because that's happened to me, and it's crazy because I only got the shot once.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get it again. Like I got it when it was
Yeah.
a thing and
I
whatever.
got 3. I got the booster.
I collapsed a week after
Okay.
on the Brooklyn Bridge
While you were running.
on a 17
Shouldn't
mile
be
run.
laughing.
Oh man.
Yeah, I shouldn't be laughing.
Yeah, you asked.
After the shot. or
Yeah,
after,
yeah.
Okay.
No, after the shot. Well,
Yeah.
it was like what? It was like 2 or 3 days after.
And you weren't sick.
No,
Oh man, I
Okay.
shouldn't be laughing.
no. But and prior to this,
Yeah.
we were running miles like crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was running with Teamwork. Shout out Teamwork. I love Coach.
Teamwork
Joe.
is great.
Yeah, I love Coach
Yeah,
Joe.
yeah.
I was running with Teamwork. Got on the Brooklyn Bridge. Everybody, does their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was running with my little cousin, who he's a great runner if he would focus on it. And I just collapsed, and then I wake up. I don't know how long I was out, but I wake up on a bench, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine." I got up and started running again
Yep.
Wow.
because I guess that was the last thing in my head to keep running.
And you don't remember
Nope.
anything. Like you
No,
just-
I felt weird. I felt this like tingling feeling throughout
Yeah.
my body, and it was just like shut off. And then I remember calling like, "Listen, Jen, I need an Uber, like ASAP." And she's like, "Where the hell are you?" And I'm like, "I just got off the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to me. My heart rate is like really high." Yeah, and it was a cool day. It wasn't too hot or anything like
Yeah.
that. So I always thought that played. And you're right. Maybe it could just be the COVID as well, because I definitely caught COVID.
It could also be nutrition. Like
Right.
maybe you just, I don't know. Maybe you just like
It
bonked.
hasn't ever happened to me again. I mean, again, nutrition, I've always suffered from it. Like,
Right.
not training or eating properly. Now is where I'm losing weight, where I'm like focused on a diet and,
Yeah.
I'm doing zone 3 training. I don't know if,
I'm
yeah,
not
so it's like you
familiar.
stay at like a 130, 150
Fat
heart
burn.
rate,
Okay.
and it's just to cut fat.
Okay.
So I've been running really slow for longer times,
Yep.
and it's worked. But yeah, I prior to that, that's the only time that's ever happened to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's yet to ever happen to me again.
Right.
It was just a question out of curiosity.
Yeah. No, I mean, I do think that COVID affected my breathing, my lung capacity.
Right.
But I'm also like, I'm old. I'm 48.
No,
That's not old.
You're young. Dude.
You
So
said,
my
hold
body-
on, quoting Tara on this.
Yeah.
He said 40, and I know where she got that from. That was from the last podcast you said that.
Really?
40, he's old. Yeah,
Yeah?
bro. We were talking about Venom Page.
Are you 40?
Oh
No.
no,
I didn't
I'm
think so.
28.
No, no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah. You
I-
don't look. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't
but
tell how old
MMA
anyone is.
fighting. If you're 40 and you're fighting,
Tara, take offense to
I
that.
know. Sorry, I love
Yeah.
you.
We love you.
So you're 28.
I'm 28.
How old
I'm
are you?
34.
You're 34. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we old out here, man. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Like yesterday, I was on the train and a homeless lady was running naked on the.
That's
On
New
the-
York. That's not
on the-
crazy.
I was on
That's-
77th
why are we
Street.
not used to that?
And I'm just like, I'm like, what the
This is
fuck?
New York, bro.
And on the one train, some shit happened. I was just like, man.
Crazy is
Yeah.
midgets on a chalkboard.
That's
Naked midgets on a chalkboard. That's crazy.
there's a lot of crazy shit. Like,
No
Dave, what are you?
We're gonna Google this, and I want
I'll post
I
it.
want Lou to post this in the chat because I swear I've seen this. I'm not. It's not. Along with the Dave picture.
The
We
Dave,
Yeah,
picture,
yeah.
Dave picture will come up first.
We
and then
gotta
we'll put it
get
together.
Dave's picture there. Oh,
Dave, what
man.
do as a New Yorker, Dave, what do you think about New York now? Like the whole migrants and all this rank shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the rent issues. First of all, if I had a seat at the table in City Hall and I could make like one, if like a genie got, if I could like rub a bottle and a genie came out and said like, give me, you know, 3 wishes. One of those wishes would be to outlaw guarantors in New York City, because I think the biggest problem with New York City the rental market, is that they like it doesn't match what people make.
Nope.
Right.
For
So
sure.
like the median household income in Brooklyn is about 45 grand a year.
Mhm.
The median rent in Brooklyn for a 1-bedroom apartment is like it's like 3,500. It doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And the only reason that they can charge that much is you've got people, and a lot of landlords will ask for a guarantor. These guarantors don't make money in New York. They're not working for New York organizations. They're not feeding the New York economy. They're simply wealthy people who live elsewhere.
Yep.
So you create a real estate market where people with access to other people's money.
Yeah.
And it creates like a classist barrier where only rich people can get a foothold in New York.
Right.
And that's really fucked up.
Yeah.
So I think what we should be all fighting against is, you know, like the old saying, the rent's too damn high. It's too damn high because the government allows it to be.
Yeah.
Like we need to fight that, and we need to.
Also, the glamour of New York. You got people from other
Yeah.
states, not knocking anybody who comes here, because New York is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's glamorous, right? Like everybody wants to live in New York, and
Yeah,
they know
start
that.
fucking
So
paying taxes.
you have New Yorkers
Yeah.
who are like, "We live here. We know what it used to be like," and then you have people
Yeah.
saying, "Well, I'll pay whatever. I just want to live in New
They just,
York."
But they're only coming in for like that's the other problem is they want to come here and have their New York experience.
Right. Same
There are
thing
always
like LA.
enough people
Yeah. Right.
that'll go and spend a year or 2, 3 years, have a stint
Right.
where they can afford to shell out $4,000 a month for that brief period.
Period of
But
time.
where does that leave those of us who are like, I live here. This is where I live.
Yeah.
I'm not
No,
gonna
it's
move.
true.
I'm not gonna live anywhere else.
That's
Yeah.
true, and yeah,
It's crowded.
the only people making off like a fat rat is the landlord.
Yeah.
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 No, it's true.
New York City's crowded.
It's
Man.
true.
Yeah.
New York City's too crowded, I think,
And-
in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. So what do you think? What do you think they're gonna do with all these migrants that are coming in the asylums?
I don't know. I mean,
Oh,
that's a huge.
You think Mayor Adams is over his head?
Oh, I think Mayor Adams has been over it.
I mean, I
The
was-
feds are coming for you, buddy.
I was just gonna say
He's
he's a-
worried about other things.
I was gonna
like
say
the feds.
You see, Dave put it nice. I was gonna say he's a dick. Dude.
Oh yeah.
I don't like Adams.
No, we're on the same page.
Yeah, I don't like. He's just a dick. Dude.
He is a
He don't know what he's
He's
doing.
terrible. You saw the bit that the short video that he did. He was being interviewed on the I think it was a morning news program, and they asked him, 2023, quite a year. What's the one word that comes to mind when you think of 2023? Did you see this?
No.
And he goes,
Man.
he says one word, and then he goes, New York. And then so 2 words, and then he's like, New York, and he's like, it's a city where anything can happen, like anything from like a plane could crash into the World Trade Center, or
I've seen the
you're
clip.
celebrating somebody is opening up a new business,
Yeah.
and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Why would you
Or
say
when they
that?
asked him, they said, why does the city smell like garbage? And he's like, garbage? It smells like weed. You don't smell it? I'm like, great. Wow, that's our mayor.
That's our mayor.
This guy's a pimp. I know I seen Eric Adams
Yeah.
in Perfections years ago. Perfections was a strip club. I seen him
that
there.
right?
No, I'm sure he was there.
Yeah.
No, I think they should do something about it, but who knows? Like, nothing's gonna change, man.
No.
They want it this way. They're gonna keep it.
So
This
it
way.
won't change because people accept. But that's everywhere. That's
But see, this
everything.
is like going back to let's bring it back to running and road runners. This is where the city's going to keep doing what it does. The policies are still going to be against the community and against working people, and landlords are still going to try to make off like bandits. But just like roadrunners is going to keep charging more and more, and,
Right.
and it's going to keep getting like untenable.
As long as they get away with as much as they can get away with.
But
Right.
but that's where we have a lot of freedom and a lot of power as the little guys to say like, oh, we're going to start our own thing, and we're going to like. I'll give you an example. I've always rented. I've never owned an apartment, and I've always rented from in New York, I've always rented from private landlords. Like, just I develop a relationship with my landlord, and I have never paid more than what feels fair for the space.
Right.
And that's largely because of a relationship that's established.
Right.
And those relationships are really key to maintaining a sustainable and reasonable rent, and also creating a race series that doesn't charge an arm and a leg to just go and participate.
Joe had that with pace runs for a while. I don't know why he stopped, but pace runs we spoke about that a lot.
Is pace runs not a thing anymore?
No, he stopped doing races, but it was really good. I remember.
Yeah. Joe, bring back pace runs.
I didn't realize that.
We got to tag Joe in this.
Yeah.
Bring back pace runs. Pace runs was cool. It was.
This is We Work Joe? Or sorry, Teamwork?
Teamwork Joe. Yeah.
We Work.
We Work Joe.
Teamwork Joe.
So how do we wrap Dave up? Dave, are we gonna have you come back? Would you?
Yeah,
come back?
I mean, I'd be happy to come back.
I asked him on the air.
We got to.
The pressure on it, right?
Now, it's like a contract now. It's like a contract now.
Man, it wasn't that bad, right?
This has been a pleasure.
You survived.
see,
there you go. There you go. Dave survived.
We do not bite here, ladies and gentlemen.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. I mean, off air, Josh goes a little crazy. But
So wait, some people have actually declined your offer?
No. We had guys offer,
Yep.
and then I guess saw a couple episodes and was like, no.
Really?
Again, my opinion, and I said this last episode, but my opinion, his opinion, your opinion, everybody's opinion is different. And that's what makes a good show, right? Everybody's opinion is different.
And it's not
we have a show to talk, right.
It's not scripted. We
and
come here, we just bullshit.
Different walks of life.
We ask questions, and that's it.
We're just having a conversation.
Yep. I mean, we wanted you on just because of your knowledge about running and all the stuff that you've done, especially like the whole running world thing.
Right.
So it was good. It was. Shit,
Right.
I was excited for you to come on. So
Well, I hope did I disappoint you?
No,
he was really excited. You know what? You were late and he was sad.
Yeah, I was crying.
He was
I was
crying.
excited because it shows a different perspective,
Right.
Other than
What
coaching,
we see.
money, sneakers, all this shit.
Yeah.
It shows the like not the sad part, but like the hardworking people that get arrested and go into running and do a marathon.
Mm-hmm.
But before we wrap this up, I just want to say something.
Yeah.
Because I know it seems like we attack coaching and we don't. Coaching is great. If you need coaching, go for it. But just pick the right coach. And I just want to say willpower, teamwork, Coach Joe, Tara, piece of paper.
Yeah.
These are great
East
coaches.
River.
East Rivers.
Yep.
These are great guys. Just watch the ones who aren't, because there are some scammers out there, and they're not your friend.
Trust
they're
me.
sharks.
Yep. They're sharks, and you know who they are.
I just wanted to put that out there,
Yep.
just so nobody thinks that we're bashing them, because we
Yeah.
love the running community, and I don't want anybody to think that we're bashing anybody.
100%.
No, I don't love the running community. Don't check out Running World, East River,
Right.
5,000. Anything you got to say, Dave?
What do I gotta say?
Don't come on.
I don't want. I want to end on a positive note.
No.
And,
So
and on a positive
Yeah,
note.
Dave.
Yeah.
Falls yours, Dave.
I should have come up. I should have been thinking about a
You
final
put him on
word.
the spot. The unscripted part.
I'll tell you what. Okay, here's my positive note. I still remember being out in East New York for that 5K, the East New York Restoration 5K, and talking to you guys about how East New York runs started.
Luke came in second.
Yep, I came in second.
I just want to put that out there.
He let
Luke
me-
came
He
in
did
second.
come in second. That's right. Oh yeah, that's right.
He let me.
So much fun.
Yeah.
But I loved how you guys described how you created the community and created this team, and now look at what you're doing. You have a podcast,
Right.
and 4 years after you started the club, it's still going. It's getting bigger. It's getting stronger. More of that. More like that. That shows the kind of the grassroots.
Right. And I know it seems like we want to. That was well said. But I know it seems like we want to.
You ain't topping that, cuz.
No, like we want to unify the community, and
Yeah.
I think by bringing enlightenment to certain shady shit, I think you could bring people together. There's a lot of people who feel like we do.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people think that we just talking shit. I think we just saying the truth, and we're saying what a lot of people want to say.
Yeah, because
But-
if you've seen our Instagrams accounts, you would know. But
Yep.
yeah. So this is more about unifying.
Yep.
And also, I also want to get another an on-air contract. Dave, you gonna help us with the 6-hour run?
I don't
Let's
see.
get this started.
let's
Come
do
on,
it,
Dave.
man.
We need you here.
I will 100% help.
Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
There we go. Too many beers.
Yeah, too many beers. I only have one. I'm nervous. Dave's here, man. Tune out, man.